Unfortunately, The Milk by Neil Gaiman. It's one of my favourites, one of my favourite writers, and let's all settle in. I've got my hot drink, I've got my book, I'm ready to go. There was only orange juice in the fridge. Nothing else that you could put on cereal, unless you think that ketchup or mayonnaise or pickle juice would be nice on your Toastios, which I do not. And neither does my little sister, although she has eaten some pretty weird things in her day, like mushrooms in chocolate. She didn't actually like eating the mushrooms in chocolate. I had not actually told her that there were mushrooms inside the chocolate. It was an experiment. No milk? Said my sister. Nope, I said, looking behind the jam in the fridge, just in case. None at all. Our mum had gone off to a conference. She was presenting a paper on lizards. Before she went, she reminded us of the important things that had to happen while she was away. My dad was reading the paper. I do not think he pays a lot of attention to the world when he's reading his paper. Did you hear me? Asked my mum, who is suspicious. What did I say? Don't forget to take the kids to the orchestra practice tomorrow. It's violin on Wednesday night. You've frozen a dinner for each night you're away and labelled them. The spare house key is with the Nicholsons. The plumber will be here on Monday morning, and do not use or flush the upstairs toilet until he's been. Feed the goldfish, you lovers, and you'll be back on Thursday, said my father. I think my mum was surprised. Yes, that's right, she said. She kissed us all, and then she said, oh, and we're almost out of milk. You'll need to pick some up. After she went away, Dad had had a cup of tea, and there was still some milk left. We defrosted meal number 1, but we made a bit of a mess of things, so we went to the Indian takeaway. Before we went to sleep, Dad made us mugs of hot chocolate to make up for the whole missing of Mum. That was last night. Now, Dad came into the kitchen. Eat your cereal, he said. Remember, it's orchestra practice this afternoon. We can't eat our cereal, said my sister sadly. Well, I don't see why not, said my father. We've got plenty of cereal. There's Toastios and there's muesli. We have bowls and we have spoons. Spoons are excellent. Sort of like forks, only not as stabby. No milk, I said. No milk, said my sister. I watched my dad think about this. He looked like he was going to suggest that we have something else for breakfast, that you don't need milk for, like sausages. But then he looked like he remembered that without milk, he couldn't have his tea. He had his no tea face on. You poor children, he said. I will walk down to the shop on the corner and I will get some milk. Thank you, said my sister. Not skimmed, I told him. That stuff tastes like water. Blech. Right, said my dad, not skimmed. He went out. I poured some Toastios into a bowl and I stared at them. And I waited. And here you can see lots of pictures of things he did while he was waiting. How long has it been? Asked my sister. Ages, I said. I thought so, said my little sister. We drank some of the orange juice. My sister practiced her violin. I suggested that she stopped practicing her violin, and she did. My sister made some faces at me. How long has it been now? She asked. Ages and ages, I told her. What happens if he never comes back? She asked. I suppose we eat the pickles. You can't eat pickles for breakfast, said my sister. And I don't like pickles at any time. What if something awful's happened to him? Mum will blame us. I expect he just ran into one of his friends at the corner shop, I said, and they got talking and lost track of time. I ate a dry Toastio as an experiment. It was sort of okay, but not as good as if it was in milk. Then there was a thump and a bang at the front door. My father came in. "Where have you been all this time?" asked my sister. "Ah," said my father. Yes, well, it's funny you should ask me that." "You ran into someone you knew," I said, "and you lost track of time." "I bought the milk," said my father. "And I did indeed say a brief hello to Mr. Ronson or from over the road who was buying his paper. I walked out of the corner shop and heard something odd that seemed to be coming from above me. It was a noise like this. I looked up and saw a huge silver disc hovering in the air above Marshall Road. Like that. "Hello," I said to myself, "that's not something you see every day." And then something odd happened. "That wasn't odd?" I asked. "Well, something odder," said my dad. The odd thing was the beam of light that came out of the disc, a glittery, shimmering beam of light that was visible even in daylight. The next thing I knew, I was being sucked up into the disc. Fortunately, I put the milk into my coat pocket. The deck of the metal disc was as big as a playing field, or bigger. "We have come to your planet from a world very far away," said the people in the disc. See, I call them people, but they were a bit green and rather globby, and they looked very grumpy indeed. "Now, as a representative of your species, we demand that you give us ownership of the whole planet. We are going to remodel it." "I jolly well won't," I said. Then one of them said, "We will bring all your enemies here and get them to make you miserable until you agree to sign the planet over to us." I was going to point out to them that I didn't have any enemies when I noticed a large metal door with "Emergency Exit. Do not open for any reason. This means you" on it. So I opened the door. "Don't do that," said the green globby person. "You'll let the space-time continuum in." But it was too late. I'd already pushed the door open. I jumped. And I was falling. Fortunately, I kept tight hold of the milk. So when I splashed into the sea, I didn't lose it. "What was that?" said a woman's voice. "A big fish? A mermaid? Or was it a spy?" I wanted to say that I wasn't any of those things, but my mouth was full of seawater. I felt myself being hauled up onto the deck of a little ship, and there was a number of men and a woman on the deck, and they all looked very cross. "Who be ye, landlubber?" asked the woman, who had a big hat on her head and a parrot on her shoulder. "He's a spy, a walrus in a coat, a new kind of mermaid with legs," said the men. "What are you doing here?" asked the woman. "Well," I said, "I've just been to the corner shop for some milk for my children's breakfast and for my tea, and the next thing I knew—" "He's lying, Your Majesty." She pulled out her cutlass. "You dare lie to the Queen of the Pirates?" Fortunately, I kept tight hold of the milk, and now I pointed to it. If I did not go to the corner shop to fetch the milk, I asked them, then where did this milk come from? At this, the pirates were completely speechless. Now, I said, if you could just let me off somewhere near to my destination, I would be much obliged to you. And where would that happen to be? Said the Queen of the Pirates. At the corner of Marshall Road and Fletcher Lane, I said. My children are waiting for their breakfast. You're on a pirate ship now, my fine bucko, said the Pirate Queen. And you don't get dropped off anywhere. There are only two choices. You could join my pirate crew or refuse to join and we'll slit your cowardly throat and drop you in the bottom of the sea, where you will feed the fishes. Wow. What about walking the plank? I asked. Never heard of it, said the Pirate Queen. Walking the plank? I said. It's what proper pirates do. Look, I'll show you. Do you have a plank anywhere? It took some looking, but we found a plank. I showed the pirates where to put it. We discussed nailing it down, but the Pirate Queen decided it was safer just to get the two fattest pirates to stand on the end of it. Why exactly do you want to walk the plank? Asked the Pirate Queen. I edged out onto the plank. The blue Caribbean water splashed gently beneath me. There's a scene. Me on the end of the plank with all the pirates forcing me along. Well, I said, I've seen lots of stories with pirates in them, and it seems to me that if I'm going to be rescued... At this, the pirates started to laugh so hard that their stomachs wobbled, and the parrots took off into the air in amazement. Rescue, they said. There's no rescue out here. We're in the middle of the sea. Nevertheless, I told them, if you're going to be rescued, it will always be while you're walking the plank. Which we don't do, said the Pirate Queen. Here, have a Spanish doubloon and come and join us on our piratical adventures. It's the 18th century, she added, and there's always room for a bright, enthusiastic pirate. I caught the doubloon. I almost wish that I could, I told her. But I have children, and they need their breakfast. Then you must die! Walk the plank! Oh my God. I edged out to the edge of the plank. Sharks were circling. So were the piranhas. And this is where I interrupted my dad for the first time. Hang on, I said. Piranhas are a freshwater fish. What are they doing in the sea? You're right, said my father. The piranhas were later. Righto.